It is an absolutely glorious weather night in Atlanta, Georgia, and we welcome you to Turner Field. The opening game of a 4-game series. It's also the beginning of a 10-game road trip for the Reds. And it starts tonight with a team with an identical 10-up and 11-down record, the Reds and the Atlanta Braves. Hi again, everybody. Alongside Chris Welsh and Jim Day, I'm Tom Brenneman. Welcome, as always, to Reds baseball. It is incredible, the difference in this Atlanta Braves team from the one, Chris, roughly about this year or this time a year ago.
Well, Tom, they did a whole makeover of the front office. So the front office decided to come in and make some major changes to the roster. So if you look from last year to this year, you'll see guys that are lost. Aaron Harang, Justin Hayward, Jordan Walden, Justin Upton, Evan Gaddis, maybe one of the best closers in the game, and Craig Kimbrell, David Hale, David Carpenter, Irvin Santana. The other Upton, the artist formerly known as VJ Upton, is gone now. So it's one of these things where you've got a whole new roster where they wore T-shirts around with name tags on them in spring training so everybody would know each other.
Now, one of the newcomers came over in that Jason Hayward deal the Reds are very familiar with in his days with the Cardinals is Shelby Miller.
You know, this is the guy that kind of reminds me of Homer Bailey. I mean, he's a hard-throwing, right-handed Texan. He got to the major leagues at a young age at 21 years old. He got traded down here to the Atlanta Braves, and he right now is the bright spot in their rotation. He's 3-0 in 4 starts. His earned run average is good, and he's come up with a new pitch. It has been very good for him, the cutter. We'll be talking about that as the game goes on, but that's one thing, obviously, the Reds hitters will be looking for tonight.
Looking for a win tonight, and he certainly pitched well enough in 3 of his 4 starts to have a victory, would be right-hander Mike Leake.
Yeah, but otherwise the team, though, is 1-3 in all of his games. I mean, he really has been somewhat of a victim of bad luck. Earned run average is decent, 4 starts overall, and they just can't kind of put it all together as far as relief, maybe some run support for Mike Leake, maybe a little defense behind him, but he's a guy that throws a lot of strikes. He works fast. He uses the defense out there, and I expect this to be a well-pitched ball game tonight.
Well, for the first time all season long, the Reds are stepping outside of the National League Central Division. Similar starts indeed for these two teams. Jim Day will have more on that when we return. You're watching Reds baseball on Fox Sports Ohio.
Stay close to CincinnatiUSA.com. By Chevy. Check out our award-winning lineup only at your Tri-State Chevy dealer. And by Skyline Chili. Feeling good? It's Skyline time. I'm Jim Day on the field here at Turner Field, and this is the tale of two very similar teams. Each are both a game under 500, and in their path to get there, very similar. Check out our Elk and Elk storylines for tonight. Each team started out very well. The Reds started out 4-0, Braves 5-0, but since then you see the records. 5-11 for the Braves since then, and they have yet to win back-to-back games over that stretch. Both have a 4-game losing streak in there, and both have struggling bullpens. For the Reds, after playing 21 straight games against divisional opponents, they'll finally play outside of the division, and I talked to some of the Reds about it.
You know, to mix it up a little bit, because it felt like, you're in Milwaukee playing the Brewers, and you come home and you're playing the Brewers, and then the Cubs, and that's I think that's probably the most that I've ever played in division. I think 14 or 15 I've played before, but I think it was 22, 21. It's definitely gets a little monotonous, and it's good to kind of mix it up a little bit.
Yeah, I think there's a certain familiarity to the teams that we play within our division, and it's certainly never boring. That being said, I mean, it's nice to come to the stadiums that you're only going to be in one time or play a team that you don't see nearly as often.
Well, if you want to get to the playoffs, you had better play well on the road. Another long roadie for the Reds. 10 games in 11 days through 3 cities. First of 4 with the Braves coming up.
Thursday, Friday, Saturday. We'll wrap it up with Johnny Cueto on the mound here Sunday afternoon. Let's take a look at Brian Price's starting lineup tonight, presented by Meyer. Billy Hamilton, Zach Cozart, Joey Votto to start it. Todd Frazier, Jay Bruce, Marlon Byrd in the 6th hole. Brandon Phillips under the weather. Jim Day will have more on that in a moment. So Skip Schumacher at second. Tucker Barnard catching right-hander Mike Leake. 24-year-old native Texan Shelby Miller, 3-0, a good start in his first year as a Brave.
This young man was on the fast track when he was a St. Louis Cardinal, fast #1 pick, and he was on his way to the major leagues in a hurry, and a lot of people were surprised when Shelby Miller was dealt down here to Atlanta, but he has called his home down here a very happy place to be, sitting at 3-0.
Swing and a miss on the first pitch by Billy Hamilton, and this one underway. Reds at 10 up, 11 down, likewise for the Braves. 71 degrees, and the wind Pretty stiff wind right now, blowing out towards right center field. And it's 0-2 on Billy Hamilton. Billy at 218 with a home run, a couple of runs batted in. He leads the major leagues with 13 stolen bases. There'll be a tough play right here by Johnson, and how about that play?
Boy, file that away somewhere under a very strong arm from the Atlanta Braves third baseman. This ball is hit slowly. He actually goes in the air and cocks his arm and fires over there to get the fastest runner in baseball by a pretty good margin as well.
You played minor league baseball with his father.
I sure did. Rob Johnson, what a great guy. Not always a great sense of humor, but always a great guy. Actually, he was one of the funnier guys you'd ever want to meet. I mean, I think he's managing now in minor league baseball. I'll look up where, but what a wonderful guy. Chris Johnson, no different, right out of the same tree.
Strike one to Zach Cozart at 282. And a breaking ball in there, strike, nothing but strikes from Shelby Miller. He was acquired, as Chris mentioned, in December, along with a minor league prospect from the Cardinals, in exchange for outfielder Jason Hayward and hard-throwing reliever Jordan Walden. And that's gone on 3 pitches for Zach Cozart, 2 down. Here in the first inning, we look at Atlanta defensively. They started the season playing very good defense. They have been miserable on defense here of late, presented by Ford. And look at all of the changes, Chris, from this time a year ago. You touched on them a moment ago. Only 3 starters in the opening day lineup from last year to this year. The third baseman, the shortstop, and Freddie Freeman over at first.
Well, if you look a little bit deeper as to the reasons why the Braves made such drastic changes from last year to this year, it has a lot to do with the new stadium that they're building, not in downtown, but well north of downtown in Cobb County. They want the team that takes over that stadium in 2017 to be a homegrown team full of players that are ready to win the division that year. So they jettisoned away a lot of players that were making a lot of money that the Braves owed some money to in future years, and they decided, you know what, we're going to remake this year, and we'll remake next year. But in 2017, we feel that we're going to be a big-time contender. We've got a whole bunch of prospects coming up to help them get there.
And you have to admire their honesty with their fan base. I mean, they laid it right on the line. They're not trying to fool anybody. And you never know. Some seasons you catch lightning in a bottle, and you're contending before you know it. 1 ball and 2 strikes on Joey Votto, and it'll stay right there.
Well, you see it over the years, Tom, where some teams that are on the cusp of winning, and then they're on the cusp of rebuilding, and they can't really decide what to do. And they put in some temporary patches, and they put some Band-Aids here, and they get a guy that may or may not work out. And if it doesn't work out, then you've got a disaster for a couple of years. And the Braves decided to take it full head on and say, this is what we're going to do, and this is why we're doing it.
Well, a good start for Shelby Miller. He retires to side 1, 2, 3. Mike Leake will try and do the same when the Braves come to bat in the bottom of the first when we return. years as a Major League manager. First with the Marlins and then with the Braves. It's brought to you by Lexus. Markakis in right, Simmons at short, Freddie Freeman at first, Kelly Johnson, Chris Johnson, no relation. Betancourt behind the plate, Chase Peterson, a rookie, Eric Young Jr. in center, Shelby Miller on the mound, and starting it for the Reds, 0-1, right-hander Mike Leake.
Game number 145, make it 147 games started this one for Mike Leake. Overall, he has 10 games over 500 in his career, 53 and 43. Those are the numbers this year in his 4 starts.
And there's a bouncing ball back up through the middle. Schumacher with a beauty and just fractionally late. Great effort there by Skip Schumacher, filling in for the sick Brandon Phillips.
Well, if you're playing infield behind Mike Leake, you got to figure that you are going to get your fair share of work tonight. And Skip Schumacher didn't realize the very first batter of his defensive first inning, he'd have to go behind the second base bag and be asked to make a Brandon Phillips play, and almost did it.
So leadoff man aboard. Markakis not much of a base stealing threat. He has one. And they'll cut down the lead runner for sure. They turn it over. Nice job on a weakly hit ball off the bat of Andrelton Simmons. And just like that, 2 gone, nobody on. We look at the Reds on defense, presented by Foy. Mentioned Schumacher is in there. And for a second straight game, we have Tucker Barnhart behind the plate. Leake, a very fast worker. And here is the best hitter in this Atlanta lineup. His numbers may not be the best on the team right now, but he has been their best hitter for the last 3-4 years, and that's Freddie Freeman. 4 home runs, 9 batted in, already 7 doubles, and a .296 batter is Freeman. 3-0. Leake's last couple of starts have really been tough ones to swallow. He had a complete game 2 starts ago when he got beat in St. Louis 2-1, outdueled that night by Adam Wainwright. And then his last start, he was given a 2-0 lead against the Cubs, surrendered a 2-run home run to tie the game, was given a 3-2 lead. And then in his final inning of work, the 7th inning, he allowed a game-tying solo home run to Chris Coghlan. The Reds would lose that game in 11. And there's ball 4 to Freeman. Kelly Johnson is certainly not your typical cleanup hitter. We have seen him bounce around a great deal in his major league career. He's in his second go-round now with the Atlanta Braves after originally coming up with them in the 2005 season. There's strike 1. He did hit 26 home runs for Arizona going back to 2010. Hit 16 in 2013. Last year played for 3 different teams, all in the American League East. And Schumacher will throw him out to retire the side. A hit, 1 left, end of 1. We are scoreless in Atlanta.
infield in baseball, but how about a power-hitting infield right now? It's our IGS bringing the energy. Most home runs by infielders in all of baseball. The Reds so far with 18 long balls, bettering the Dodgers, Orioles, and Blue Jays. They're 27 total home runs, second in the National League. So the infield can pick it, and they can hit it long so far as well, Tom and Chris.
Well, yes, they have. What the Reds would like to see a little bit more of course, in two categories. Their overall team batting average, which obviously would improve their on-base percentage, but also hitting with runners in scoring position. They just completed homestand, where they dropped 2 of 3 to the Cubs. They won 2 of 3 against Milwaukee. The Reds were 4 for 39. With runners in scoring position, barely breaking 100. Frazier jerks it foul, 1 ball and 2 strikes. Shelby Miller, 12-pitch, 1-2-3 opening inning. Todd has 6 home runs, 15 runs batted in. Of course, you saw that number 18. 13 of those have come from Votto and Todd Frazier. In the air to deep left center field, and able to track it is Eric Young Jr.
And this is a big outfield here. I mean, it says 400 feet in dead center field, 380 in the gaps, 390 in the right center gap. But it just plays bigger than that. And for years and years, of course, Andruw Jones was ranging out there, seemingly catching everything that went into the air. But you've got to have a speedy outfielder, and they do with Eric Young Jr. in center field.
Jay Bruce, a 3-game hitting streak, 3 hits in his last 7 at-bats, 2 of those home runs, and he's also walked 5 times during the 3-game hit streak. And remember, that's coming on the heels of Bruce going through a stretch of being hitless in 14 at-bats with 9 strikeouts. So you got to start somewhere, and so far so good for Jay. Bob Davidson calling the balls and strikes tonight. David Rackley at first, Jerry Lane at second base, Sean Barber, the umpire, down at third. And that is in the air and well hit to deep right center field. Playing big there as well, and enough room in front of the 390 mark for Nick Markakis. As if on cue, Mr. Welch.
Jay Bruce is probably heading back to the dugout right now thinking that's about 10 rows deep at Great American Ballpark. And I don't think there's any question that it probably is. One of the deepest parts of the ballpark, and really still a couple of steps away from the wall. Boy, it sounded good coming off the bat, though.
So a couple of well-struck balls in this inning against Miller, but a couple of long outs. And first pitch swinging is the Marietta, Georgia native Marlon Byrd, and that didn't take long. So the inning is over. Braves coming to bat in the second of a scoreless game. Yankees celebrating 13 years. You can watch every out-of-market game live or on demand in true HD. There are blackout and other restrictions that may apply. Visit MLB.tv for details. Here we go in the second inning. Scoreless game. Mike Leake, first pitch breaking ball to Chris Johnson, in there a strike. Johnson at 286 without a home run, 5 runs batted in. And he's behind 0-2. Chris came up originally with Houston, had a couple of real good years in Arizona, and now begins his 3rd full year in Atlanta. His first year he was lights out. Hit .321. That dropped all the way down to .263 a season ago.
I mean, he was leading the league in hitting for a long time that year. That was in 2013. Had 34 doubles that year. And they really thought they caught lightning in a bottle here in Atlanta. He just kind of went back to maybe more pedestrian numbers. He's already earned a couple of high fives with that play that he made on Billy Hamilton to start the game off.
3 balls, 2 strikes on Johnson, leading off the Atlanta second inning. And a jam shot bouncer to Cozart, who charges. Plenty of arm, as we know, for Zach Cozart, one away.
Well, right now, Mike Leake is using both sides of the plate. He's got balls cutting. He's got balls running inside on right-handers. I mean, it's one of these nights where you got to feel good about yourself if you're Mike Leake, because right now everything is working right. Now, one indication is that you get the ball on the ground. Even the base hit that Markakis had was a ground ball that happened to find a hole up the middle.
First pitch swinging is Christian Betancourt, and he lifts a fly ball to center field, and just like that, 2 are out. Well, the hitters are up there hacking early on tonight. Shelby Miller has gone through the first 2 innings, having thrown 21 total pitches. And Mike Leake has thrown a total of 17. 2 outs into inning number 2, and there's Jace Peterson. We're getting our first look at this soon-to-be 25-year-old native of Louisiana. There's a bouncer foul wide at first. Originally a supplemental pick by San Diego, 58th pick overall in June of 2010. And one of the other big deals the Braves made is when they traded away Justin Upton to San Diego. And they had Peterson coming back the other way. He played in 27 games a year ago for the Padres. That ball lined into right center field. A 2-out single for Peterson.
Nice short swing. He's a former #1 draft pick the Padres had. They got him out of Louisiana, as you said, Tom. And he's a guy that did a lot of running in the minor leagues.
He's also a young man that played on his college football team as a defensive back at McNeese State University. And you mentioned some of his stolen base totals in the minor leagues. I mean, this guy, there's no fooling around now. 39, 51, 42. Now, last year, he didn't run nearly as much as he had in his first 3 years of professional baseball. He's one of 3 in stolen base attempts with Atlanta. Ball 1 to Eric Young Jr. Checks in at 169, 4 doubles, 2 triples, 5 runs batted in. Young has been sharing time in center field along with another former Padre, Cameron Maben. This should take care of Young. One hit, one left. We go to the third, no score.
Performance Kings Honda expanded highlights and reaction from the clubhouse here on Fox Sports Ohio. I'm Jim Day. Skip Schumacher to lead off this half inning for Cincinnati, and he was a late addition to the lineup. Originally, Brandon Phillips was in the lineup but scratched due to illness. Now, this is late this afternoon, but I can tell you that Brandon got ill yesterday on the flight coming to Atlanta. In the last 24 hours has been, well, not a great 24 hours. Been a lot of vomiting. He came to the ballpark dehydrated. He got an IV, and they were hoping that he could be better, but not good enough to answer the bell. He is at the ballpark. He's right now not in the dugout, so in an emergency pinch hit situation, perhaps he could be available. But you got to think that he's really sick because he loves playing in his home city.
Well, apparently his fill-in tonight's feeling pretty good about being in that lineup, because on a 1-0 pitch, Schumacher laces one to the gap in left center field, and the Reds have their first base runner.
Well, a couple of guys that were former teammates with each other when they were playing for the Cardinals, and Schumacher just hits it where it is pitched. Really has not had a lot of playing time, has Skip Schumacher, especially from the standpoint of starting a game and getting 3 or 4 at-bats in the same game. Nice to see him get a chance, and nice to see him put the barrel of the bat on it.
Well, he's made a total of 3 starts all season long coming into tonight's game. It's a very important bat early in this game because both pitchers appear to be on top of their game. Tucker Barnhart clubbed a home run, his first of the year in yesterday's game. Now he will advance the runner. You have the pitcher coming up next. So we'll see if Mike Leake, who was, and I say was, and we all know, if not the best hitting pitcher in Major League Baseball, he was certainly one of the best. But all of a sudden, over the last year plus, those numbers have started to really decline for Mike Leake. He does not have a hit so far this year.
I think you can trace that back time to the fact the scouting report gets out on him. I mean, a lot of pitchers you don't pay much attention to. You go after him with some fastballs. If you get ahead, you put him away with a breaking ball. But they're pitching the Leake like he is another hitter. They're trying to go around the periphery of the strike zone. They're not giving in to him just to try to get an out. And that makes a difference. But he's got one out there waiting for him if he can get it into the outfield. The Braves will play their infield in. They'll try to cut it off at the plate.
League did hit 2 home runs last year, despite his batting average really falling off sharply. Remember, this was a guy 2 years ago that almost hit 300. He had 18 base hits in 2012. He's had 12 each of the last 2 years, and has a total of 4 major league home runs.
Well, Shelby Miller has 2 different types of fastballs, and one is a sinker, the other is a 4-seam fastball. He has always liked his 4-seamer more. Likes to throw it up around the letters, and that's one thing that kind of drew the ire of the Cardinals when he was with them, but he gets a lot of strikeouts on that high heater. And there it is. That's actually that was a cutter that he came up with about halfway through the year last year, and it has really turned things around for him. Miller last year, when he started throwing that cutter right around the All-Star break, has had 16 starts since then, and he is 6-1. The team record is 11-5. You see the earned run average and the opponent batting average, and he's one of the few pitchers out there that does not throw much in the way of a changeup at all. So it's fastball, cutter, curveball for Miller.
So now Billy Hamilton with a runner at third and 2 outs here in the Reds' 3rd inning. And a breaking ball is in there, a strike. Now Johnson, who made a marvelous play on Hamilton, that came on a 2-strike pitch in the 1st inning. He's drawn way in on the grass right now on a strike 1 pitch. And now he'll back up a little bit as it goes to 0-2 on Hamilton. Billy trying to deliver a 2-out hit and plate the game's first run. You know, after watching the Cubs play the Reds 6 times this year, when Tony La Russa did it, he didn't do it enough where you got to, still a small sample size, understandable. But I tell you, after watching the games this year, I can understand why a manager in the National League might flirt around with the pitcher batting 8th.
A lot of it has to do with who your number 3 hitter is. And the whole idea of batting the pitcher 8th instead of 9th is you put a regular player in the number 9 spot whose chance of getting on base is higher than the pitcher. So now you have more chance of having a player on base when your best hitter on the team comes up. And it might make even some more sense with the Reds because you have Joey Votto, your best hitter by far, in the number 2 slot. So if he does get a base hit, he's going to hit over 300. You got a chance of having a guy on base.
Tough luck tonight for Billy Hamilton. Robbed at third, and now in the 3rd, a liner right at Freeman to end the inning. Don't forget Sunday, July the 12th is All-Star Sunday, and tickets are available for that right now online at allstargame.com. Scoreless game, last of the third. Shelby Miller against Mike Leake, and it's strike one. Miller hitless so far this season, and quickly behind Leake 0-2. Markakis, the leadoff man next, and then Simmons. Well, you might understand if this Atlanta Braves team is worn out, coming off a wild, and I mean wild, 3-game series against the Washington Nationals. It's 1-2 on Miller. The Braves collected 38 hits in the 3-game series, and of course everybody feels like the Nationals have the best starting pitching in all of baseball. The 38 hits were the most in a 3-game series for the Braves since 2012, and it should be noted in May of that year they played a 3-game series, had 42 hits in Denver.
Well, one of the things the Braves have been able to do this year pretty well is hit right-handed pitching, because they match up with a number of left-handers. Markakis in the lineup, who leads it off as a left-hander. And of course, Freddie Freeman, you were talking about, the best hitter on this ball club, a left-hander. So they've done well. They're about 4th in the league in batting average when it comes to facing right-handed pitching. Drop off significantly when they face left-handers. But really, it's not offense. It's the problem down here. The big problem has been the bullpen. They've let 2 games get away from them that they seemingly just had in the bag. And you know how that demoralizing that could be when you have an 8-run lead. Next thing you know, you're taking a loss back into your home clubhouse.
And that was on Tuesday night. The Braves led the Nationals 9-1 in the second inning. 10-2 they led it after 4. And wound up losing 13-12. And really that insult to injury was the fact that Dan Uggla, who they're still paying a fortune, and I truly mean a fortune. He had a triple in the 7th inning and gave Washington the lead in the 9th with a home run on an 0-2 pitch from Jason Grilling. But no one will ever blame the Atlanta Braves for releasing Dan Uggla. Batting in the low 100s, under 200 a couple of seasons in a row, 1-time All-Star, second baseman. What a play by Frazier on the liner by Markakis. So Frazier watched Johnson earlier and says, I'll do that.
Kind of an interesting, because in this at bat right before this, Markakis hit a line drive over the Reds dugout into the stands, and may have put Todd Frazier on alert, saying, hey, this guy is willing to take a pitch that's going to be sinking away from him and go the other way. I mean, really go the other way. And Todd was ready at the hot corner to snag it. Nice play.
Well, we saw Markakis last year, and of course he was with Baltimore. And he wore the Reds out in that 3-game series sweep for Buck Showalter's team. Very impressive hitter is Markakis, coming into play tonight, hitting .338. Two down, none on for Simmons, who bounced into a double play in the opening inning. 1-2. Cardinals have already won their game. They played earlier today. They lost the first game in that Philadelphia series. They won the next 3. The only game they lost was against Cole Hamels on Monday night.
Boy, Leake is really moving it around. I mean, it's one of these nights where he doesn't seem to have missed his spot very often at all. I mean, a fastball in, a cutter away. Hard to know what to look for when you come in the batter's box. It's funny, every time I come to Atlanta, you think pitching. you know, the big boys here, John Smoltz, Glavine, Maddox. Maddox would say when he would throw 100 pitches a night, he would make 30 mistakes. And those would determine whether you won or lost. Sometimes you make a mistake and a guy hooks it foul just like that. And you come back with a good pitch, you put him away. Sometimes that ball's fair. Touches the third base bag, goes all the way down into the corner.
I bet you if you asked hitters at face Maddox, they might not agree with that 30.
They probably would say, I think he meant 3 mistakes. Of course, a mistake for Greg Maddox might be different than a mistake for a more average pitcher.
Truly one of the all-time greats. Maddox and Glavine both inducted to baseball's Hall of Fame a year ago, and this year the man on the far left, John Smoltz, will join them. Leak plants throws inning over. 1-2-3 for the first time tonight for Mike Leake. We're scoreless after 3. Draft coverage from around Chicago. And wait till you hear what Floyd Mayweather Sr.'s crazy rant on Manny Pacquiao before the big fight coming up this weekend. You can catch all that on Fox Sports Live tonight at 11. Following Reds Live or over on Fox Sports 1. Reds will bat in inning number 4. Against Shelby Miller, 2, 3, and 4 in the batting order. No score. Miller v. Leak, and a good one so far tonight. Reds got a leadoff double by Schumacher in the 3rd. That's their only hit. But they could not get him home. He was stranded at third base. (2-0) on Kozai, who struck out on 3 pitches his first time up. Now, if there is one thing from time to time we've seen from Miller, his control will go awry. He's walked 9 in 22 innings coming into play tonight. He's tough to hit. Opponents are only batting 192 against Shelby Miller. 4-pitch walk. How about that? Baseball's a funny game, man. Can be the big things, can be the little things. You strike a guy out on 3 pitches. His first time up, and the next time up, you're nowhere near throwing one in the strike zone.
It just goes to show you how good the great ones really are. Because that didn't happen to guys like Randy Johnson or Pedro Martinez or any of the 3 Atlanta Brave pitchers that we showed you. John Smoltz and Glavine and Maddox. very often. I mean, it would happen from time to time. Sometimes you just blank out, and you don't know what happens to your body, and you can't throw the ball where you want to. But even with that 4-pitch base on balls, they are very high on Shelby Miller. I think that he's going to be the foundation of their pitching staff for a long time. He's only 24 years old. Came in the major leagues at 21.
That ball is mashed into right center field, and this is going to plate the game's first run. Cozart being waved. No, they're going to hold him up. Markakis did a beautiful job of cutting that ball off. And Jim Riggleman made the decision with nobody out. Why risk it? Second and third, nobody out.
You know what the Braves did a little different on that particular relay play is that Jace Peterson, the second baseman, went way out there into right center field. He didn't hang around near the infield area and let that ball get to him on a couple of hops. I mean, he was way out there. So I think Riggleman saw that relay man had the ball a little bit earlier, and he didn't want to take the chance. So a combination of good defense, heads up third base coaching, but still a good opportunity here for the Reds.
All right, now Frazier, his last 4 attempts with a runner at third and less than 2 men out, has been unable to get the runner home. He has second and third, nobody out here, and looks at a strike. Frazier hit the ball solidly his first time up, a line drive caught in left center field by Eric Young Jr. This is an inning you're thinking about at least 2. A couple of ground balls to the right side would take care of that.
Well, he's got ahead of him now, and I think what Miller's going to try to do is just expand the strike zone. Todd has a tendency to chase pitches off the plate. He's already got him thinking outside. I don't know whether he's going to stand him up with a fastball in and then go back out, but his plan to get him out is somewhere down and away. There's the cutter. The fastball will come in around 94. The cutter around 87, 88.
Just blew him away on a high fastball at 94. So Frazier now in 5 consecutive tries with a runner at third and less than 2 outs can't get it done.
Now he just climbs the ladder right there and adds a little bit more to that fastball when he has to. Now you can see his delivery there. That's a comfort zone delivery for Shelby Miller. Old country hardball.
So Texan against Texan here. Miller against Bruce. Jay nearly left the yard his first time up. And a liner caught, and a double play will end the inning.
playing, but then you go out there and you have to think along with more than you would with a guy that throws 95 plus, because if you get backed into a corner, sometimes your fastball can bail you out. But when you get in a situation with Mike where you get backed into a corner, it's kind of a thinking game, and I enjoy that part of it.
And that's Tucker Barnhart talking about how much he enjoys catching Mike Leake, because he's got 5 pitches to choose from. Now, Tucker Barnhart in there for the 2nd straight day, as that could be a long one. Caught by Jay Bruce. In there for the 2nd straight day. And, guys, it's not because Brian Pena is banged up. He is not. It's not because Tucker Barnhart hit a home run yesterday. It is because Brian Price says the chemistry between Leake and Barnhart is off the charts, and they wanted to go with that chemistry tonight.
All righty, well, so far so good. Leake certainly has to be disappointed in the way the top half of this inning played out. Schumacher a slight bobble, but time to throw out Kelly Johnson. And I mean, just like that, 2 gone here in the Atlanta 4th inning. You know, Chris, getting back to something that we said at the time about Jim Riggleman holding the runner Cozart there at third. You and I both, I think, would stand by his decision on that we agree on that. With nobody out, good move. Why take the chance? You're figuring with, 4 and 5 coming up in your batting order that somebody's going to knock that runner in. Of course, the Reds, had a situation last year where they had countless runners thrown out at the plate. In fact, it ended up costing Steve Smith, the third base coach a year ago, his job.
It's really hard to group them all together and say, hey, because the Reds had whatever the number was, 25 or 28 runners thrown out at home, the third base coach has done a rotten job. You almost have to break it down situation by situation and say, well, why did he send him here? Was it an exceptional play defensively to get the guy out? Did he send him because we're at the bottom of the order and you have a pinch hitter maybe coming up, or the pitcher spot? There's a lot of different things that go into coaching third base, but I think that most people don't recognize. They just think that it's as simple as being a traffic cop out there, and it's not at all.
Tell you, did an excellent job for a long, long time for the Reds is Mark Berry.
Oh, outstanding.
And a third base coach, no matter what team, fans are going to get upset and talk about who it is, and you always know his name when the guy gets thrown out at the plate.
Well, you don't get, it's like being an air traffic controller, right? No one knows who you are until a plane goes down, and that's what they say about third base coaches. And everybody understands it opens it up for second guessing more than any other play in baseball. I think oh, you should have sent him. See, after that double play ball that happened to end the inning, if he sent him right there, then he probably would have been safe, and the Reds would have hit into that double play ball. But that's all second guessing, and that's one reason why this is a great game to come out and watch.
Well, I'll take Jim Riggleman all day, every day as a third base coach.
Well, when you are good enough to coach third base for Whitey Herzog, maybe you're good enough to be able to coach it here in 2015.
Indeed. A 2-out walk to Chris Johnson. Second walk issued tonight by Mike Leake. No score. We're in the bottom of the 4th. Runner goes. And a throw to second, right on the money. Tucker Barnhart. Of course, he's been recognized as the best defensive catcher in all of minor league baseball 2 years ago.
What you call good chemistry right here.
By your local Ford dealer, Ford Go Further. And by Cincinnati Children's, ranking 3rd in the country on the U.S. News and World Report's best children's hospitals in America. Turner Field, a beautiful night, expecting more of the same. We certainly hope and pray that's the case over the next 3 days here in Atlanta before the Reds will enjoy an off day. Monday in Pittsburgh, play there Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And then already their second trek into Chicago. But it'll be on the south side, the Battle of the White Sox next weekend. Marlon Byrd popped up on the first pitch, his first time up, and started to swing his first pitch here in the 5th. He's behind strike 1. And 0-2. Bird grew up in Marietta, Georgia. So unquestionably lots of friends and family here in Atlanta tonight. Marietta's only about, what, 15, 20 minutes, miles north of here. That could be 3 hours and 10 minutes, depending on the time of day. Boy, Atlanta, like traffic-wise is, ooh, boy, it's rough.
You sound like you drove to the ballpark today.
I did, and it was rough. I mean, 3:30, you're thinking it's not going to hit you. I couldn't have been more wrong. I actually have an uncle, my dad's brother, Tom Brenneman, who lived here for a number of years, and the traffic nearly sent him over the deep end.
A Brenneman going over the deep end? No way.
It must run on my dad's side, no question. Glad I got my mom's genes in that regard. 3-2 on Marlon Byrd. No, when you're in your car, you like to move. I mean, move.
Well, there's not a whole lot. This is kind of like Los Angeles traffic. I mean, that's how bad it is. Boy, that's an 0-2 count worked into a full count and then a walk for Shelby Miller to start the inning off. So for the second inning of the row, the Reds have their leadoff man on. And it was pitch after pitch of Miller trying to tease Bird, and he just wouldn't bite.
That is the first walk, I believe, this season for Marlon Byrd. Yep. 73rd plate appearance. All right, here is Schumacher. And he lines one caught by Simmons. Schumacher had a double in the left center field his last time up. And he stunned this pitch. But Simmons, a 2-time Gold Glove winning shortstop.
Well, we have seen some sharply hit balls and some very fine defensive plays made. Both of the infielders on the left side for the Braves have made tremendous plays.
Tucker Barnhart bounced out to Peterson. The second baseman is only at bat tonight. 2-0. Fouled off his right front foot. Of course, the Reds have been a running team so far this year. Yes, Billy Hamilton has 13 stolen bases, but as a club, they have 23. And only one time has a Reds would-be base stealer been thrown out this whole year, and that was Hamilton by Martin Maldonado of the Brewers.
Well, I think you have to take advantage of who you may have either on the mound or behind the plate. And in this case with the Braves, you've got a very good catcher behind the plate in Betancourt. He's been described as a defensive whiz. He's got a pop time, they say, is somewhere in the neighborhood of 1.7 to 1.8, which is tops of the charts there. They're not sure how much he's going to hit, but defensively he's as good as they get. So now he may still be challenged by Billy Hamilton, but you may not want to do that with one of your other guys.
Marlon Byrd does not have a stolen base attempt so far this year. 2-2 to Barnhart. And that's a 4 strikeout of a game for Shelby Miller. 2 away here in the 5th. And the pitcher coming up, Mike Leake.
Well, Miller has a knack of being able to throw that pitch just right at the top of the strike zone right there. Just not high enough that you recognize it as a ball out of the zone, but not low enough that you get that level swing on it. That's the same spot Tony Cingrani gets a lot of strikeouts on. Those guys that have a lot of backspin on their four-seam fastball can pitch up there.
That one was headed towards the Reds radio booth. Now, do you think the Cowboy would make an effort on a laser like that one coming back into the booth?
To make the catch or to protect your dad?
Either one. I say no on both.
Oh, I say yes on both. Cowboy's a gamer. Now, he may not have seen it coming, but if he saw it, there he is.
He's shaking his head. I don't think he's making an effort.
Maybe he wasn't ready after all.
1-1 on Mike Leake. And now 1-2. I think my dad's trying to change his nickname to the Captain. Because, he has that captain's chair. He wheels around, whether he's on the radio or the television side. The captain's chair. Gone swinging his lead. A leadoff walk. No score. Middle of 5th. '17 Giants will be in town, all part of Family Sundays. Kids 14 and younger receive a Mike Leake poster presented by Curly's. For tickets, call 513-381-REDS or log on to reds.com/family. Now we have those live mascot races on Sundays, face painters, games, and lots more for the kids. Only 2 hits surrendered by Mike Leake, one of them an infield hit. He's walked a couple of batters, struck out 1, scoreless game, bottom of the 5th inning. And Bethancourt to lead things off. And he looks at ball one down low. A lot of players we've seen with a similar sounding last name don't have the H. They'll have Bethancourt. But Christian is Bethancourt, as it's 2 balls and a strike. He'll be followed by Jace Peterson and then Eric Young Jr. Frazier throws out Bethancourt to begin the 5th, and a reminder coming up a little bit later on tonight. It'll be our Miller Time moment, brought to you by Miller Lite. Of course, the NFL draft is going on tonight, and we'll keep you up to date as to what the Bengals are up to, being a playoff team yet again last year, 5th time in the last 6 years. They will pick 21st in the 1st round tonight. Oh, and to the count on Peterson. And by the way, as expected, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers indeed took Florida State quarterback Jameis Winston, the 1st pick of the draft. And Winston is not in New York for the draft. He is celebrating this big night in his young life at his home with family and friends in Alabama.
So he'll miss some of the pageantry of being in Chicago for the draft and being marched up to the podium and the stage. But he'll still get the bonus.
That he will. 2 up, 2 down. Bounce out to Schumacher. Only one other game being played outside of this one tonight. Told you the Cardinals played earlier today and beat Philadelphia 9-3. The Nationals were just here yesterday. They're playing against the New York Mets, and it's 2-0 New York. Ground ball to short. Mike Leake has thrown 62 pitches through 5 innings, 3 ground ball outs in the 5th.
Transmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Cincinnati Reds.
Well, nighttime is not even upon us quite yet. At around 8:18 Eastern Standard Time, And yet here we are in the top of the 6th inning. A scoreless game, the Reds and the Braves, and Billy Hamilton trying to shoot one past the new third baseman. Alberto Callaspo has taken over for Chris Johnson. Makes you wonder if Johnson may have injured himself attempting to steal second base back in the bottom of the 4th inning. 0-2 on Billy Hamilton, and that has been the case on Hamilton each of his first 2 times up tonight.
It's been the case for a lot of Reds hitters who have faced Shelby Miller tonight. I mean, he is either right on it, or when he gets wild, he throws 4 in a row.
Billy has been a tough luck hitter so far tonight.
That's one way to get him on, right?
That's one way to get him on. How about that? Again, you talk about things in baseball. Hamilton is robbed of a base hit on a great play by Johnson. He hits a line drive rocket right at the first baseman, and now he's going to reach on a strikeout and a pass ball.
Well, it looks like a little bit of laziness right there. And maybe not. I mean, I'm sure that Christian Betancourt has caught so many pitches like that, and he just figured he had it in his glove. It just happened to slip out.
Cozart, a broken bat base hit into left field. And all of a sudden, the Reds have something working here in the 6th. They caught a break on the Hamilton at bat. And now Cozart aboard for the 2nd time, and they have Votto coming up.
All right, you know what Votto did his last time up? I mean, he hit the ball very hard. A double in the right center field gap.
Now, with nobody out and Votto batting in a scoreless game, perhaps Hamilton doesn't think about stealing third. You brought up earlier what an excellent throwing arm and defender Betancourt is. What about running against Shelby Miller? Because as we know, more times than not, that's who you steal the base off of.
Well, especially if you're going to steal third base, you're going to steal it entirely on the pitcher. Because with a left-handed hitter up there, it's going to be very easy now for Betancourt behind the plate to be able to throw the runner out.
0-1 to Joey. 0-2.
You just want the raw numbers on Shelby Miller last year when he was with the Cardinals. 14 successful stolen bases, 6 thrown out. This year, they've had 3 successful and nobody thrown out.
Reds are 0 for 5 tonight so far with runners in scoring position.
Well, this is as much as I've ever seen Joey Votto choke up on a bat. You know, if you look at the radar gun that Shelby Miller is throwing, I mean, he's throwing balls right by hitters at 92 and 93 miles an hour. So it's not necessarily the velocity of the pitch as measured by the radar gun. It's the explosiveness in which the way it comes out of his hand, how he hides it. He's got a quick arm, and you can see the hitters just aren't locking in on it, especially when it's up.
Miller wanted that call, did not get it from Bob Davidson. Boy, you're right, the point you make about Votto.
A little backdoor cutter. Never did quite come back to the corner.
2 on, none out. 1 ball, 2 strikes on Joey. Votto has to be, what, 3-4 inches at least up off the end of that bat. Now, Votto is not one of the Reds that's had a hard time getting base hits when runners are on base. It's in a tough count here at 1 ball and 2 strikes. It's a miracle you even get a bat on that ball.
It really is, because you know the last couple of pitches were right on the outside corner or just off the corner, and Miller's got a good arm, and that explosive fastball comes right into a perfect spot. They're just trying to stay alive right there, and that tells me something if I'm Shelby Miller. Which pitch did he have a better swing on?
Shot into left field down the line, and the Reds are on the board. Hamilton scores. They're going to hold Cozart. Joey Votto delivers on a 1-2 pitch. And you just asked the question. He had a much better swing on the pitch away, and they went away, and he made them pay.
Well, you're exactly right. And even if the pitch is a couple of inches outside, Votto has just got such a good foundation with his legs right now. He gets a front foot down, and he waits, and hits it right out of the catcher's mitt right down the third base line.
Well, now Frazier, for a second straight at bat, will come up with second and third and nobody out. He struck out his last time up. Had a good rip at that first pitch from Miller, but fouls it back, 0-1. No one knows better than Frazier, and he is a guy that will tell you he wants to be at the plate with runners in scoring position every at bat, and wants to be the guy that has to drive them in. No one knows better than he that he's had a hard time doing that with a runner at third and less than 2 men out here over the last 2 weeks. Nothing in 2 on Todd Frazier. One away in the inning.
He just kept the hard stuff on him, did Shelby Miller. That one at 94, and after going upstairs last time for a strikeout, goes right down to the bottom of the strike zone. Looks like a little two-seam sinking action. Bruce has hit it for hard twice.
Sure has. A drive caught in front of the 390 mark in right center field by Markakis his first time up. And then a line drive right at the first baseman, Freeman, who fired to second to double off Votto, ending the fourth.
This is really a good matchup for Jay Bruce. If you think about it, if you think about the pitches that give Jay Bruce the biggest problem, they are slow pitches moving away from him on the outer part of the plate. Shelby Miller does not have that pitch. Everything he throws is either a hard fastball or some kind of a pitch that is moving into Bruce. So when he tries to pick at that outside corner and catches the plate, that's right in Bruce's zone.
Second and third, 1 out, 1-0 Reds in the 6th. There's a breaking ball that Jay lays off of. 2 balls and no strikes.
Hey, with the way that Bruce, I mean, if I'm Shelby Miller, I'm thinking right now, I'm 2-0. I got a base open at first base. The way that Bruce has centered the ball on me tonight, why? In fact, Freddie Gonzalez is going to take that decision right away from these 2 guys on the mound and behind home plate and just go ahead and intentionally walk Bruce.
So here comes Marlon Byrd. Byrd popped up to Freeman. His first time up. He fell behind 0-2 in the 5th. And then unbelievably, Shelby Miller threw 4 straight pitches out of the strike zone for Bird's first walk in 73 plate appearances. Miller has thrown 20 pitches in this inning. He got through the first 2 innings tonight with 21. And a big chance for Marlon Byrd in his hometown.
Well, Marlin has always seemed to be able to hit the Atlanta Braves pretty well. In fact, last year he hit 4 home runs against this Braves ball club.
Of course, in this series, he will not see a single starting pitcher who was with the Atlanta Braves team a year ago until he sees Tehran on Sunday. Seven career grand slams for Marlon Byrd. That's a pile of them. Of course, the Reds have a couple already this season coming in the same game in Milwaukee a couple of weeks ago. 0-2 on Byrd with the bases loaded. Foul out of play.
There's another situation of if you're Shelby Miller or the catcher Christian Betancourt, you have to ask yourself, what's the best swing that Byrd has put on any of the pitches that Miller has thrown in? And those are pitches that are away, up a little bit, where he can kind of, if he's a little bit behind the ball, he can get that bat head on it and hit it to right field. Pitchers are just so afraid, though, when they get ahead of the count, situations like this, to come inside because they don't want to lose a pitch and then end up hitting the batter. He's coming in now, though.
Yep. And then it sailed way outside. 1-2 strikes.
Didn't really have a confidence to do that. He was probably telling himself, you know, I want to come in there, but the margin of error is this. If I miss out over the plate, there's a chance he's going to hit the ball hard. If I miss inside, I'm going to hit him and I'm going to bring another run in. I feel more comfortable going away, where if I miss off the plate, I'm not going to hit the batter.
Cozart, Votto, and Bruce aboard with 1 out. Oh, boy. Miller can't believe he didn't get that call at 94 miles per hour. You be the judge.
Boy, I'll tell you what, that is that number 6 you see on the Fox Track screen. They're probably hearing a couple of barking noises coming from the Braves dugout.
Two balls, 2 strikes on Marlon Byrd. And now ball 3. So again, in Bird's last at bat, he fell behind 0-2. And he drew a walk. He started this at bat 0-2. And now it's 3-2. Byrd waiting on a payoff pitch from Miller. 2 away in the inning.
That's that high fastball that hitters have a hard time staying off of. I mean, you coach a little league ball. You tell your kids over and over again. I mean, it happens. You laugh, Tom, but it happens at every age. The pitch that is up and closest to your eyes looks so easy to hit, and you just can't lay off of it.
Schumacher's had 2 excellent trips to the plate tonight against Miller. A double to left center and a line out to short. The Reds are 1 for 8 with runners in scoring position tonight. He only hit Votto's double with runners at first and second a moment ago. Schumacher hits it hard. The Reds manage 1 run in the inning, and they lead 1-0. West Coast Interleague showdown. It starts with the Angels and the Giants, and then the Reds and the Braves at 7. Coverage begins at 3:30 Eastern on your home for baseball every Saturday, Fox Sports 1, and streaming live on Fox Sports Go. 1 run, 4 hits, no errors. 6 left on base. No runs, 2 hits, no errors. 2 left for Atlanta. Miller, Markakis, Simmons against Mike Leake here in the bottom of the 6th inning. Reds had 2nd and 3rd. Nobody out in the 4th inning. Did not score. Runner at 3rd. 1 out in the 3rd. Did not score. Miller on a 2-strike pitch has just bunted his way back to the dugout. And then a run home. 2nd and 3rd. Nobody out in the 6th. And settled for just the 1 run on the RBI by Joey Votto. So Leake now pitching with a lead, but the slimmest of leads. Markakis an infield hit and a line out to 3rd. Markakis was moved into the leadoff spot 6 games ago. Last weekend, Freddie Gonzalez really juggling his lineup. And although you never know it tonight, as they're being shut out on 2 base hits. When he moved Markakis to the leadoff spot, Simmons to the 2-hole. Freeman has always hit 3rd. And then the ageless one, A.J. Pierzynski, in the cleanup spot. A.J. off tonight. In 4 games, they collected 38 hits and 25 runs. Johnny Gomes has been a big part of their resurgence offense of late as well. But A.J. Pierzynski's just been incredible.
Well, he's part of that right-handed hitting contingent that makes it so tough on, left-handed hitting contingent that makes it so tough on right-handed pitchers.
1, 2, 3 for Leake in the 6th. Barnhart, Leake, and Hamilton coming up in the 7th. 1-0 Reds.
T-Mobile game changer tonight. We are taking you off the baseball field. This morning, we did a little golf at the Capital City Club. That is Chris Welsh holding, indeed, a hole-in-one ball. Tom Brenneman, hole number 6, 128 yards into a stiff wind, 9-iron, 1 bounce, and plop right into the hole. It was a tough little
And this is the truth. We're not kidding around. Congratulations, partner.
You know, it was one of those. It's my second in forever, and I've played a lot of golf. I hit a lot of shots that didn't go in, but it was fun because we could watch it go in. Took one hop and bounced right in the cup, and I was in disbelief. And I actually saw air between your dad's feet and the tee box when he jumped to celebrate. I didn't know he could get up that high.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Awesome.
It's a lot of fun.
That is awesome.
Never seen his dad so happy. Never.
Well, we have a good time out there.
And Jim, you were there, and Dick Williams, and my dad, and Mr. Welsh.
Yes, I signed the scorecard as the witness.
Well, I guess that means that Mr. Welsh will be buying later. Isn't that the...
That is usually what happens. It did not happen at the course because we had to go to work. But after the game, that's a different story.
That's right. It's on me. Anybody who was there to witness the shot is welcome to be on my tab. And maybe I'll even let my partner in for a couple here.
That is great stuff. I'm happy
it's
for
fun.
you. Congratulations.
Thank you, Jim.
You know, there's so many guys and ladies out there that are watching right now that have played forever, and this one will travel forever. 2 games in a row, a long one from Tucker Barnhart. And a 2-0 Reds lead. He clobbers a 3-2 pitch.
Well, you know, you mentioned earlier about the relationship between Tucker Barnhart and Mike Leake, and why Tucker Barnhart is in the ball game tonight, because they like the way those guys work together, and it seems it's so seamless with Leake on the mound. But you know what? If Tucker Barnhart continues to swing the bat like that, there'll be a lot of other reasons why he might be in the lineup.
Yesterday, you may remember, he got one in the 5th.
And it looks like the same type of pitch. A fastball up. He got one yesterday. It was at the very top end of the strike zone. Pulled it into the right field bleachers. Here he got one a little bit more over the center of the plate, and he pulled it right down the right field line.
So Matt Garza yesterday, Shelby Miller tonight. Miller threw 46 pitches through the first 4 innings tonight. He was cruising. And this ball is blasted into left center field, and Mike Leake plays long ball. Leake his 5th career home run, and the Reds lead 3-0.
That's no cheapie either, because that is in one of the deepest parts of this ballpark. Leake got the head out on a fastball, and that ball kept going and going. And for all the work that Shelby Miller did in the 8th inning to get out of that jam, bases loaded, strikes out for 2-man on, he strikes out Frazier with bases loaded. Then he strikes out Marlon Byrd, and he gets Skip Schumacher to get out of the inning, giving up only 1 unearned run. And here he comes in this inning, facing 8, 9, and 1 in the order. And without an out, he's got 2 runs in, and here's Billy Hamilton.
Well, you know, that's what I was just trying to say. In the first 4 innings, he threw 46 pitches. The last 2 innings, he's thrown 46 pitches. So he's had to really work these last couple of innings. And how about that? Tucker Barnhart and Mike Leake. That's a Mike Leake swing we've seen through the year. His first hit this season. Billy trying to bring one with him up the first baseline. It's the first time we've seen him do that all year long.
Yeah, I like that attempt. Even though they threw him out, doesn't matter. I like the fact that he tried to get that bat head in an angle where he can get it down the first baseline. Didn't quite get it down the line enough, but you're working on it.
So now
Reds have some pretty good hitting pitchers now in the stable. You know, Jason Marquis can definitely swing the bat. He's been a silver slugger before.
2 out.
Michael Lorenzen yesterday with a base hit with the first ever time he stepped to the major league batter's box. A 2-strike line drive to right field. Mike Leake hits a home run tonight. Johnny Cueto's come a long way.
Now Joey with 2 down, 2 in. And the Reds with a 3-0 lead. Votto knocked in their first run. He has a pair of doubles tonight. His double in the 6th played at Hamilton. Votto hitting .325, tied for the league lead in home runs with 7. And among the league leader with 17 runs batted in.
You know, he went through that little funk. It was about a 4 or 5 game funk. Started really in Milwaukee when Brian Price made the adjustment in the batting order, and he put Zach Cozart back in the 8th spot up to the number 2 spot and bumped Votto down to number 3. I don't think that had anything to do with anything, but just the coincidence of it. But he has come back and swung the bat extremely well when he's been in there. Had a day off yesterday.
They went 4 games without a base hit, which matches the longest such streak of his major league career. And he's out of there swinging to end the inning. But the Reds, from 2 very unlikely sources, Barnhart, then the pitcher lead to left center, and the lead is 3-0 in Atlanta. Saturdays, the first 25,000 fans get that Johnny Bench Stars of the Queen City bobblehead presented by John Morrell. Saturday, May 16th, Reds v. Giants. Call 513-381-REDS. And come on down to the ballpark. That'll be a 4-game weekend series against the defending World Series champion Giants. Here on this April the 30th. Mike Leake pitching his way and slugging his way to a 3-0 advantage. Freddie Freeman hooks it foul. It's a big inning for Leake. You're going through 3, 4, and 5 in the batting room. Very low pitch count for Leake, only 74. 2 hits in the game, one of them an infield hit, the last one coming for the Braves in the 2nd inning on a 2-out single by Peterson. Mike has walked 2, struck out 2. One-two to Freeman. Gone swinging. That is one good-looking pitch right there. Hard down and into Freeman.
Well, the beauty of it is that not every pitch in the at-bat was hard, but the last one was, and that's why that's our flamethrower, brought to you by Cholula Hot Sauce, 92 miles an hour. Mike Leake is able to fire that one up there and put Freeman away.
One gone in the 7th, and here's Kelly Johnson, twice has tapped out to Schumacher.
You know, Tom, you said early in the game something, I think it probably blew by a lot of people, that Mike Leake works fast. I mean, that's just an observation and a good one, but he's not only working fast, he is controlling the pace of this game, and in the process, controlling the offense and really keeping his thumb on the offense the Braves have. He's not letting them even get a breath in there. And nowadays, with the speed up rules and everybody thinking about, you know, hitters getting out of the batter's box, and come on, umpires are clapping their hands saying, come on, come on. Hitters are thinking about it, and it kind of takes them out of sometimes their own comfort zone. And he has just been dealing and doing it in a hurry.
1-2 to Johnson. Brian Price made the comment before the game today. He said, look, I don't want anybody to think that I'm not comfortable with Brian Pena catching Mike Leake. He said, I'm more than comfortable with Brian Pena catching Mike Leake. He said, but as Chris brought up earlier, certainly a comfort zone with Leake and Barnhart. So far, real good tonight. This will be the second out of the 7th inning as Bird is waiting and squeezes it tight. I mean, Leake is rolling, man. He's retired 14 of the last 15. That started after the 2-out single, their last hit in the 2nd inning by Peterson. He got Eric Young Jr. on a ground ball to second. The only Brave to reach since the 2nd inning is a man who was in the game earlier, Chris Johnson. When he walked, was thrown out stealing, left the game an inning later. And here's his replacement, Alberto Callaspo.
Callaspo came into spring training, had that second base job to win, and he had a great spring, but Jace Peterson had a pretty good spring too, so they decided to give the second base job on everyday basis to Peterson. Callaspo's been playing a lot of third.
2-1 pitch. So now Lee trying to put the finishing touches on a perfect 7th inning. Callaspo came up originally as an Arizona Diamondback. 3 seasons in Kansas City, 4 in Anaheim, the last 2 in Oakland. And didn't miss by much. Full count to Alberto Callaspo. And here's a payoff pitch. We'll do it again. Callaspo's had some nice seasons over in the American League. This is a fly ball to short left, and Leake with a perfect 7th. We're off to the 8th, 3-0. Reds in front. Live, and it's presented by Ray St. Clair Roofing. We come your way tomorrow night. They start Friday games a little bit later here at Turner Field. So Reds Live will begin at 7 o'clock tomorrow night. And our game coverage begins at 7:30. That'll be Anthony DeSclafani. And we're going to have to wait and see about who will start for the Braves. It was supposed to be Trevor Cahill, but they brought him in out of the bullpen. What with all the hitting and the wild games, high-scoring games they had in the Washington series. And so he will not start tomorrow night. As Donnie Veal, just brought up from the minor leagues, takes over on the mound for Shelby Miller.
Yeah, I mean, just brought up from the minor leagues, but he's not a young kid. He's 30 years old, drafted by the Cubs in the second round in 2005. That was a very prolific draft in the major leagues. Left-hander's going to get his shot right away, and it's going to be 4, 5, and 6. Frazier, Bruce, and then Marlon Byrd.
Frazier a line out to center field in the second inning. He had runners at second and third and nobody out in the fourth. Struck out. Second and third, nobody out in the sixth. Struck out. And now he lays into one to deep left center field, and it is 4-0 Reds. So tied, some redemption from missed chances earlier tonight. That one's got to feel good for Frazier.
A little bit more like it for Todd. A fastball from a left-hander that he sees a little bit better, right on the inner third of the plate. And after his recall from AAA, the first batter that Field faces takes him deep.
And Bruce lines one that is caught by Peterson.
Boy, he has hit the ball hard tonight. And nothing to show for it. He's got an intentional walk in the sixth inning. So after Frazier's home run, Marlon Byrd gives him a little bit of a high five, and then everybody else gives him the cold shoulder.
Marlon Byrd, first pitch swinging, stings one into center field. We'll go back to that and show you what the teammates did to Todd Frazier. Now his coach will give him one.
You can see the smirks. They're going out of their way to ignore him. He says, hey, is there a ball game going on here? Didn't the Reds just score a run?
It's a little fun in the Reds dugout.
Nice to see.
Yes, it is. Here's Schumacher. Skip's had a nice game tonight. Tough luck hitting. I mean, a lot like Jay Bruce, Schumacher does have a double to show for it. He lined to left center, a two-base hit in the third, hit a rocket right at Freeman in the fifth, and then a line drive caught by Johnson in left field his last time up. So far, Veal not fooling anybody. A home run to Frazier, a line out by Bruce, and a line drive single by Byrd.
Well, he's a situational guy and more or less a fill-in type player. 30 years old. He has spent 11 seasons in the minor leagues, most of those at the AAA level. He's one of those guys, even though he's got a pretty good arm, that last pitch at 94 miles an hour, you always think, hey, left-hander that throws 94, you got something there. And they've had some pretty good swings at him, so he must show it to you.
You know, with those left-handers, sometimes you just never know. All of a sudden, at 31 or 32, they stay healthy, and they're coming in to get lefties out for about 4 years.
A great example of that is Tony Fossas, one of the pitchers or pitching coaches in the minor leagues for the Reds. Did that for a long time. Now pitching, who does that style, or who does a little different style, but all of a sudden got it, Randy Choate. And it's almost like if you got a guy like Veal who throws that hard, why not just drop his arm angle just a little bit? I mean, he's been 11 years in the minor leagues. He's never really caught on to the majors and got any kind of traction up here. Must be doing something wrong. Or why don't you maybe take some time to experiment on a different pitch? Maybe a sidearm looping breaking ball like a la Randy Choate, where you just kind of flip it on up there, and then you back it up with something at 94 and you have something. But his arm slot and what he's doing right now is being just good enough to get him cups of coffee in the major leagues every so often.
Well, Cincinnati native, Coleraine High School, Roger McDowell is a pitching coach, and a good one, they say, here in Atlanta. He comes out to visit with Veal. Tucker Barnhart turns around the bat right-handed. He homered to make it a 2-0 game an inning ago to the seats and right. Mike Leake behind him homered. Frazier homers in the 8th inning. The Reds lead is 4, and they're looking for more than that. 0-2 on Barnhart.
Danny, I'll take 5.
Oh, and 2 on Tucker with 2 on and 1 out. We're in the top of the 8th. Right center field. Bird is going to tag, and he'll advance on to third. There are 2 outs in the inning. Chris, you were talking about the struggles for the Braves bullpen. We know about the Reds bullpen.
Well, the Atlanta Braves almost have a reason, because they have jettisoned so many good pitchers away from their bullpen from one year to the next, but they've struggled mightily. They've also thrown about 16 more innings than the Reds bullpen has. Right now, the Reds bullpen, one of the worst in earned run averages out there, and giving up some long balls as well. The problem that the Braves bullpen has really had have been the base on balls.
Yeah, that was 5 walks per 9 innings on that graphic. Two on Leake. Nothing in 2 on Leake. And the inning is over. But the Reds get the home run by Todd Frazier, his 7th of the year. And the Reds in front 4-0, 6 outs to go. Brought to you by your local Toyota dealers. Proud sponsor of the Cincinnati Reds. 4 runs, 8 hits, 8 left on base for the Redlegs. No runs, only 2 hits surrendered by Mike Leake, and the Braves have stranded 2. Leake has just been sensational here tonight. The Braves have 4 base runners. 2 of them reached base of the first 3 that came to face Leake in the first inning. An infield hit by Markakis. Mike got a double play ball by Simmons. He walked Freeman, and since then only a single by Peterson and a walk to Chris Johnson. And Leake will handle the pop-up to take care of Bethancourt to begin the 8th. Leake showing you all the skill set here tonight.
Well, he's a tremendous athlete. The Reds knew that when they drafted him in the first round out of Arizona State and brought him right to the major leagues. I mean, he, like Michael Lorenzen, was a two-way player. And there's a thought among scouts that it gives you a little different perspective of the game when you're a guy that can play at a high level of baseball at the amateur side. You know, that being a big-time college program. Lorenzen, Cal State, Fullerton. Leake, Arizona State. And then you come in to pitch as well.
Leake upset with himself, missing the first 2 pitches to Peterson, who was the last Brave to get a hit in this game.
Really, the only Brave to show anything at all at the plate. There were a couple of hard hit balls. Markakis hit 1. And there's another.
Votto falling down on one knee to pick up the backhanded grounder. 2 away in the inning. Eric Young Jr. is grounded to Schumacher and bounced out to Kozar. 95 pitches tonight for Mike Leake. He already has 1 complete game this year. That was against the Cardinals in a 2-1 loss. And he may get a chance to finish this one. Maybe he can take care of Young pretty quickly here. Why not? Left center field. Bird a good jump, and that's all for the Braves in the 8th. Mike Leake working on a 2-hit shutout. Had a 1-0 lead until the 7th inning. Tucker Barnhart and Mike Leake back-to-back home runs off Shelby Miller, extending the lead to 3-0. Frazier would homer in the 8th inning to make it 4-0. But the rest, Mike Leake has just been sensational.
Well, the line you see right there will be the final line for Mike Leake. They were congratulating him in the dugout. And you can't do a whole lot better than that. He had the Braves eating out of his hand. He used the defense behind him. He was efficient with his pitches. He kept the pace of the game going, really where he controlled the pace of the game. And he's looking at a 4-run cushion right here to pick up a win.
Three strikeouts, 2 walks, 2 hits.
It's like a wedding reception line right there.
He retired the final 12 batters he faced. And Ian Thomas.
Make a play.
No way, brother. I am ducking and moving.
Never seen you move that fast.
Well, if they ever come back here again, you'll see it.
I thought
again.
you were going to jump in my lap to get out of the way of
and
that
I
ball.
would have to avoid it. I'm not getting paid to try and catch foul balls, Doctor.
Oh, man.
Are you kidding me? Did Billy Hamilton get enough? You better believe it. It is 5-0 Reds. So be our Miller Time moment brought to you by Miller Lite. Billy, number 2 on the year.
Well, the Braves have gone to the bullpen to bring in a new pitcher in each of the last 2 innings. And each time that new pitcher has been greeted with a first batter home run. Last name it was Donnie Veal. Now it is Ian Thomas. That is Tony Cingrani getting set to come in and finish it off for Leake.
Three and 2 on Zach Kozak. Reds hitting 4 home runs in the last 3 innings. Tapper by Kozak for the first half. And you know, it's funny, we brought up earlier, it's another example of baseball being a funny game. I think if you were to present to the most hardcore Reds fan of the 9 guys in the starting lineup tonight, pick the 3 that you figure have the least chance of hitting a home run. And I think the 3 would be 3 of their 4 home runs.
You're right.
Barnhart, Leake, Hamilton. Maybe somebody would have picked Schumacher instead of Hamilton. Or maybe Schumacher instead of Barnhart, having just hit a home run yesterday. Who's he getting cleaned up over there? One and 1 on Joey Votto, and Ian Thomas cuts it loose on the inside corner. Not sure Votto agreed with that. The Reds do not have a shutout this year. They have flirted with 2 of them going into an 8th or 9th inning. But gave up runs. They've only been shut out 1 time. on the ground to the shortstop. 2 away.
Oh, shout out, give a happy birthday to a young man, a very close friend of mine, 19 today. Ricky Ruhlman finished his first year at Notre Dame, out of school for the summer. And congratulations, Ricky. April 30th, big day for him every year.
Had a big freshman year at Notre Dame.
Oh, yeah.
Ricky's a good man. Think the world of him. Anytime you get a 17, 18-year-old that takes the time to hang out with the little guys and play and have fun, as he's done with our son Luke and our daughter Ella, Ricky's all right. Sure, he'll be fired up to get back to South Bend when football season cranks up next fall.
I would imagine so. Those are big weekends up there.
You better believe it. I'll tell you what, though, a lot of the guys we have on the crew here in Atlanta, and it's a lot of the same guys we've had forever. And they do an awesome job down here. Our director, Roy Alfers, he's like the king of the jungle down here, working a lot of SEC and ACC sporting events. And we made sure we gave him a mighty hard time about Urban Meyer and the boys laying it on the SEC this past year. Steel power tool performer. The Reds offense with 4 home runs today, second only among National League teams. One behind the Dodgers, who are off tonight. It's a very thin schedule in the National League and the American League for that matter. The Reds getting home runs tonight from Hamilton, Frazier, Leak, and Barnhart for their 5 runs. Tony Cingrani trying to finish it off, get the final 3 outs.
He'll face the bottom of the order. Cingrani will have a pinch hitter for the pitcher. Looks like Philip Gosselin will be the pinch hitter. And at the top of the order, Markakis and Andrelton Simmons.
It's really amazing you stop and think about it, just how life has changed for Tony Cingrani in a matter really of 4 days. You know, last weekend we were talking about how Cingrani had nearly joined the witness protection program, and that's not a stretch at all. He had pitched 1/3 of an inning over an 11-day time frame. Reds played the Cubs in an extra inning game, and Cingrani came in, finally pitched 2 perfect innings
and struck out 2. And the amazing thing that I find out of that, Tom, is having done that, sat in the bullpen for a long time between stints on the mound, he had no problem with control. I mean, he had good touch on the ball and just came right after him and pitched like he'd been doing it every other day. You know, it's funny how clubs work so hard to try to get relievers into a certain rhythm in spring training. Every other day or every second or third day they pitch, whatever their schedule is, they want to get them on that particular routine. And then when the regular season comes, that routine goes right out the window.
Going down the right field line. Goslin trying for two, and he'll slide into the double. Just punch one down the line. Those are the 15,744 that have stayed around. They have the tomahawk chop going here, trailing 5-0 in the bottom of the ninth. That is the first hit for the Braves since a 2-out single in the second inning. It is their first base runner since a 2-out walk in the fourth. Just in case, the Reds are going to get Aroldis Chapman cranked up with a 5-run lead. Top of the order, Markakis is 1 for 3 on an infield hit, leading off the first inning. You know, Brian Price was asked again, seemingly as he is every day. Cingrani's one of the real hot topics right now because, you know, he didn't pitch forever. He came in, he pitched well. Manny Parra goes on the DL. The struggles continue with some of the right-handers in the Reds bullpen. Cingrani now has fallen behind 3-0. And even today, you almost got the feeling from Brian Price that, you know, he said, look, Cingrani was a closer in college. He thinks being a reliever suits his temperament better than necessarily being a starter. He can come in there and air it out, but he feels like Cingrani has to get used to pacing himself again as a reliever, something he's not done since college. But you almost got the feeling, you know, we've heard for years in baseball, and the Angels were notorious for this, when they had some great teams where they did not have a single left-hander in their bullpen. And Mike Scioscia used to say all the time, I'm not going to use some left-hander who's really not very good if I've got right-handers that can get people out. Well, the same can go the other way. If you've got right-handers that are having a hard time getting people out, what's wrong with a left-hander that does? Although Cingrani hasn't gotten anybody out to start this bottom of the ninth inning.
Well, a couple of observations, Tom. Number one, complete games sure don't mean what they used to be. I mean, here Mike Leake has less than 100 pitches in a ball game, throwing a 2-hit shutout, and you're going to the bullpen. So, and that's more that's more a reflection of the era of the game that we're playing. Not a criticism of Brian Price, because he knows pitching about as well as anybody. So, and the other part is that, you know, sometimes you have a tendency to overthink it. It used to be, and I mean going way back, that a guy would make the major leagues as a bullpener, and if he showed good enough stuff and good enough results, he gets moved into the starting rotation. And it was as simple as that you earn your way into the rotation. Now guys come into the rotation with a fanfare, and they have to throw a parade for somebody's first major league start. So times have changed that way, but bottom line is you still have to get hitters out. Doesn't matter when you start or relieve.
Fastball strike one to Simmons.
He tried to duck that one.
A double and a walk to start this Atlanta ninth. Leake was just at the top of his game tonight. No two ways about it.
You know, the other part of it is that there are so few shutdown relievers in baseball. Aroldis Chapman is one of them. So that if you take him out of the equation, anytime you go to someone else in a bullpen, not only the Reds bullpen, but any other team, there's a certain amount of uncertainty. When you take a pitcher who's rolling right along and you bring a new guy in, you're changing a lot. Energy of the game, you're bringing somebody new in, you're not sure about how he feels that night, whether he was throwing good in the bullpen or not. But Cingrani is certainly able to come in and retire 3 batters before he gives up enough runs to tie this baby up.
Well, Cingrani really wanted that 0-2 pitch called a strike. It was 94.
That last pitch there is the one that they would really like Tony to work on a little bit more, the slider. What a bad spot for it when you get 2 strikes on a right-handed hitter. You bury that slider on his back foot, and a lot of times they'll chase it.
Well, you need a strike here. 2-2 to Simmons with 2 on and nobody out. Double play ball all the way here. There's one, and that's how you dial it up. So a runner at third, 2 away in the inning, and 1 more out to go. Simmons has bounced into 2 double plays tonight. He led the firm in the lineup tonight, goes in the lineup tonight, and runs batted in with 13. Cingrani trying to finish him off. Freddie Freeman, the batter, 0 for 2, has drawn a walk. How about that? First pitch breaking ball for a strike. Our old buddy, Johnny Gomes, stands in the on-deck circle. Everywhere he goes, he becomes almost immediately one of the most popular guys on the team and in the town. And they love him already here in Atlanta.
Johnny's a player that has prolonged his major league career by being able to hit, and swing hard, but by attitude. I mean, he makes everybody around him a little bit better, a little bit more enthused. Maybe not quite as enthused as he is.
Into left field, got to break up the shutout bid. On a 1-2 pitch, Freeman a double to make it 5-1.
That's a pretty good bit of hitting right there for Freddie Freeman. You can see why this young man was signed to a long-term deal. They're going to build this ball club around him. And he just laces it down the left field line for his 8th double of the year. One thing about Johnny, you know he's not going to get cheated up there.
Good breaking ball there to get ahead 0-2. Two balls and 2 strikes.
Well, he's thrown a fastball and a slider to get ahead, and now he's thrown some off-speed pitches to make the count even.
Well, this is going to be his final batter either way, because if Gomes reaches, it becomes a save chance, and you got to believe The Chapman's coming into this game. 2-2 on Johnny Gomes. The Reds the other day, and of course many of you that watch the games regularly, the Reds had a 9-2 lead against Milwaukee and wound up having to bring Aroldis Chapman into the game.
Well, they brought him in with a 6-run lead.
Two and two on Johnny Gomes. This ought to do it. Frazier the call, Frazier the catch, and the Reds win it by a final count of 5-1 in the opening game of this 4-game weekend series and the start to a 10-game 3-city road trip. Reds hit 4 home runs, but the story tonight was Mike Leake.
Well, 8 innings of 2-hit shutout baseball for Leake. Did not strike out a lot. Had 3 strikeouts, walked a couple, but for the most part, he got it and went. I mean, went quick from pitch to pitch, controlled the ball game. A nice businesslike